I say there is no darkness, but ignorance. William Shakespeare. Slowly opening my eyes, the first thing I took note of was that I was not in the Overmare's office. The second, my pip-buck lamp was the only light in the room. The third, it was that I recognized this place, which made me feel confused. I was sitting at the bar in Sleepy Hoove's diner. Though everything was dark and looked run down, there was a purple earth pony mare behind a counter. She was looking in the other direction, giving me a good look at her flank as she moved her hips, humming a song that I did not make out. Her mane and tail were pale blue and jade green streak in them. The mare's cutie mark was that of a hoof shoe with an exclamation point going through it. I gave myself a little slap. It hurt a bit. Fragment was outside the dream now, which didn't make any sense. Fragment? What's going on? She stopped and turned herself around. She had a smirk on her face. No. I was just looking for some food. But if it hasn't turned to stone, it's turned to dust. Walking around the counter, she took a seat next to me. And I wanted to try a hay burger. Not that we could cook it if we wanted to. No power or gas. I stretched out my neck and legs. All they did was make a popping sound as I loosened up. Bummer. So, how did we get here? I mean, this can't be Sleepy Hoove's diner. The place certainly looked like it, but everything looked worn down and colorless. No color at all. Just different shades of white, black, and gray. Fragment shook her head. Don't think so. I even took a quick peek outside. Long story short, there is no applewood out there. Just a whole lot of nothing. Looking at the window, she was right. All I could see was an inky blackness. The windows would shake now and then, and what sounded like light hail whipped on it. It turned on the radio on my pip-buck. The motions felt awkward on the 2600 on my right leg, making a tapping sound every time the pip-buck hit pip-buck. It gave static, but nothing else. I turned on auto-tracking, but it found nothing. Where are we? There can't just be nothing out there. Fragment crossed her hooves. Well, when we first arrived, I did feel another come with us. We two others came with us. Let me guess. One was Probeater? She nodded. Who was the other? She shrugged. Don't know, but if we find them, they might be able to give us some answers. Maybe they know a way out. But where to start? I couldn't just run out in a random direction to find this pony. A sharp crack and pop came from a window on the front of the door. The windows were warping inwards like something was pressing against them. The warping became far more consistent, and I could see what looked like a black fog on the other side. Well, not so much as see, but feel it on the other side. Well, I suggest we start by going out the back door. I nodded at the suggestion. As we bolted to the back of the diner and out the back door, I could hear the sound of breaking glass, whining metal, and snapping wood. Looking back as we ran, the diner collapsed in on itself. The landscape outside was simply bleak, darker, with only some hills to break up the mostly flat horizon. Whatever destroyed the diner was following us, slowly, but still were moving our way. In the distance, ahead of us, we could see a faint light, so we galloped to it. My body didn't feel as it was in pain as I ran. I was mostly numb. I considered that a good thing for now, not wanting to question why I didn't feel like shit anymore. What do you think that thing was? Could it have been Probeater? Probably. Do you know of anything else that likes to move as a big black fog? Fragment had a point. If it was Probeater, then she didn't feel like talking anymore. I couldn't blame her after what I did. Well, if she catches us, we need a plan to deal with her. Fragment laughed. Don't worry, I already have one. We just need to find that other pony. I raised an eyebrow. That's good to know. Here to tell me what it is? She shook her head. It's a surprise. I didn't feel like prying, so I turned my focus back to where the light was. The light we had run to turned into a large hospital building. There was a light coming from one window near the top floor. The building had 3 letters on it, MOP. We didn't waste time jumping into the building and moving what we could to block off the door. Kind of like the horror movies, don't you think? Bregman helped me push a desk in front of the door as she spoke. Big dark hospital, some monster trying to get us. What do you think they'd call this movie? I had to think about that for a moment. Medical nightmare, maybe? Bregman shook her head, and I had to agree. We can think of movie names later. We have to find this other pony first, then deal with Probeater. Bregman placed a few more chairs on the barricade, but each time she went back to grab another one, she would fade into the dark. I was the sole light source in this place. Bregman stopped when she saw that I was looking at her. What's up? Is there something wrong? I sighed. You should probably stay close to me until we find another light source. Everything's just too dark here. She nodded, and we moved deeper into the hospital. It wasn't long until we heard the sound of Probeater banging on the door outside. So we added a few light barricades that we could as we passed through. The sooner we find this pony, the better. I have nothing but Agent's Hospital, but this one creeped me out to no end. Each room had mannequin ponies in them, all dressed up as doctors, nurses, and patients. Room by room had a different scene, with doctors looking over patients and nurses helping doctors. Bregman burst out into laughter when she opened up a closet to find 2 mannequin ponies in disheveled nurse uniforms. The second floor was much of the same, but this time we found a closet with only 1 mannequin pony in it. I had to push Bregman along before she cracked any jokes about it. On our way to the 3rd floor, the sound of smashing wood and breaking glass echoed behind us. We decided to not waste any more time of rushing search. As it turned out, we were wasting time even looking in the rooms, as light from under the doors stuck out from all the darkness. The problem was that it happened to be the only door locked in this whole place. The sound of banging metal and cracking tile got closer, and Bregman started to panic, knocking vigorously on the door. I was worried she was going to put a hoof through it. Any pony in there? Let us in! Let us in now, please! She took a step back from the door and looked at me. I'll get it open. I just watched as she got herself into a runner's position, her head low and flank up high. Once again, I found it cute. I was also a bit worried about her hurting herself. It must be how much she looked like me now, but I came to the conclusion that I was not a bit attracted to her. It was just cute. How it was. Charging at the door, it opened right before Bregman hit it, sending her flying in and crashing into whatever was inside. Ow. What are you? You're insane. The voice sounded familiar, and in taking a look, I was surprised to see healing herbs on the floor, tangled with fragment. You're alive? I helped her get back to her hooves, leaving Fragment on the floor. But how? I... Shot me! Yes, I remember that. She patted some dust off her lab coat. Don't worry, I don't blame you for my death. I don't think I could live with myself after what she made me do. What she tricked me into doing. No, I tricked myself, it's simple as that. The sound of metal scraping on glass was now much closer, and I quickly shut the door. Healing herbs locked it. We can have a pity party later. But right now, we need to know if there's a way home. If you have one, I mean. The room I was in was not big, more like a small library. A small candle on a desk was the only light in the room after my pip buck. It flickered as though threatening to go out at any time. Healing Herb sat in a chair and opened up a book with her magic. If I were to guess, you should go and do the same thing that got you here. You teleported with the pip buck, right? We'll just do the same thing to get back. All you need to do is follow it. But there's no guarantee that you will end up on this other side. So be careful with that. That was good news. and then we already had half what we needed to get out of here. What about you? You can't stay here. Robeater's ripping her way here. I'm already dead, Slowtrot. You know that. So just get out of here as soon as you can. I shook my head. Not buying it. You're here talking to me, that means you're still alive right now. So unless you can give me a better explanation to why you have to stay, I'm taking you with me. Fine. If you want to know why I should stay dead, I will tell you. She shut her book with a slam. I helped make the first megaspell. It was actually my healing spell that was at its core spell. I was on the team who thought it up, and we came to the conclusion that it would do nothing but good. And the worst part of it all, I was the one who convinced Fluttershy, my best friend, that we could make it in the first place. She glared at me. My actions helped destroy our world, and all the blame was passed onto the one pony who wanted to save it. She opened her book again. Now, unless you have an outstanding speech to convince me that I can do better, don't try. I already tried my best, and look where it got us. I was a bit stunned. I really didn't know much about healing herbs, and this was all a bit heavy. She was right. Someone like me would have no chance to convince her to do anything she didn't want to do. You in. But before we go, how do we get a signal? She looked over and glanced at the 2600 on my right leg. Have you checked the radio function? If a portal is still open, then all you need to do is get a radio signal to give it the direction and jump through. I sighed. Nothing. I checked earlier, but there's nothing on the radio. We did open up the portal with a megaspell, so it should still be lingering. Do you have a broadcaster? I nodded. Then there's your answer. With the broadcaster, you should be able to force a connection. You just need to boost it with... More magical power! Fragment interrupted, as she shot up, standing on her two back legs. We just need to use some magical power source to boost the broadcaster. Reach out and grab any signal it can find. Then we can use it to teleport the spell and get back to our world. It's quite simple when you think about it. Healing Herbs closed her book. Before I didn't care. But Slowtrot, who is this mare and why does she look like you? Before I could answer, Fragment silenced me with a hoof to my mouth. Name's Fragment. Well, it's more of what I am. So I might change the name if I stop being a fragment. Simply, I'm made out of leftover pieces of the souls and memories that got left behind in the Pip-Buck 2600. Healing Herbs lifted an eyebrow. Charmed. But how do you know about boosting the broadcaster? Figment grinned. Easy. I know it all from you. You're not actually Healing Herbs. Well, you are, but you're just a piece that got sheared off by the 2600, which means you're like me. This actually explained why she was here. If she was like Fragment, then it would be logical that she was moving around like Fragment was. Healing Herb slammed her book down on the desk. The force was enough to put out the candle. You know, never mind. I don't care to hear any more of this nonsense. Her voice was strained and quivering. You should just leave now. Before I do more things I will regret. I'm sorry, Miss Herbs, but... The book flew at me, and I ducked just in time to avoid it. Fragment had scooted off to the side, avoiding Healing Herb's gaze. Just get out! I already helped you, so go. Let me die with some peace. But go where? Robeater's right outside the door. And that's not my problem. Now get out! She hit the ground before taking another book to the back of the head. Fragment smirked, lifting Healing Herbs onto her back. Okay, now we go. My jaw felt like it was unhinging itself. Why did you do that? 'Cause like I said, she's a fragment. And well, I can't just leave her here. It'd be like leaving a sister or, well, something like that to die. But why knock her out? She walked to the door and flicked her tail at me. She was a stubborn old nag. The door bulged with a violent bang. And we're taking the window! I was first out, finding the ledge was large enough for us to stand on. Fragment stood and hoofed over Healing Herbs for me to carry, and joined us outside just in time as the room inside exploded. Not far from us was a fire escape. Somehow, not surprisingly, it only went up. as the part going down had become a bunch of twisted metal. Probator followed us to the ledge, the black fog somehow staying on as it pursued us like prey. Why does my head hurt? Healing Herbs awoke as we raced upstairs. I felt her hooves suddenly tighten around me. What is that? She lifted a hoof and pointed at what was Probator. Didn't I tell you that the nightmare was after us? Healing Herbs responded by using all 4 hooves to hold onto me more firmly. I pushed harder up the stairs, knowing that she wasn't going to just fall off me. Once on the roof, I let Healing Herbs off me, and we ran to the rooftop door. The damn thing was locked, so this time I was the one to ram the door. 1, 2, 3. I hit the door with as much force as I could, but it didn't budge. Taking a quick look, the black fog slowly pushed itself onto the roof. 1, 2, 3! This time I bucked the door, pushing as much force as I could muster into my back legs, and the door blew off its hinges with a bang. Not wasting time, we all ran for it. For all her talk about accepting all of this as her punishment, Healing Herbs was the first one through the door. With the nightmare on our tails, we headed straight for the exit, practically sliding down the stairs and flying through the halls. In the lobby, the remains of our barricade was everywhere. With the exit clear and open to us, we were all getting out of here, except for one problem. Holding a flickering candle, a mare stood before us, with a black coat, mane, and tail, along with angry, golden eyes. I slid to a stop. Probator? She glared at me, but its effect was not as effective as it should have been. One of her eyes was swollen shut, and she was covered in scrapes and bruises. Surrender, Slowtrot. Be my host, and we can return to Equestria. Her voice quivered as she talked. Before me was not the proud and uncontrolled nightmare of the ancient era. What I saw was a mare desperate, putting on an act, but too frail to fool any pony. What? No! Get out of our way! We're running from you! She took a step back, looking confused at my response. What? The building shook and the smell of dust and decay drifted in around us. The floors cracked and the walls flaked. A deep groan could be heard from further in. The building was coming down. Fuck this. I didn't have time to make sense of what was going on. I charged her, the other 2 following closely behind. She actually flinched at my sudden closing in on her, dropping her candle, leaving only the light from my pipmuck. Lowering her head, I felt her belly slid over me, and with a push, she was on my back. When you told me to pick up a mare, I didn't think that's what they meant, Slowtrot. Frigment laughed as she galloped next to me. You said that fog was Probator, but she's on your back right now, so what's going on? Healing Herb shouted from my side. I had the same question, and I knew one pony I could ask. Fragment, you seem to know more about what's going on than you're telling me. So what the fuck is going on? Fragment snickered. Honestly, I don't know what the thing is. But Probator, she's another fragment. Same as how I have a bit of you in me, Slowtrot. The 2600 sheared off a bit of every pony in here. Wait, a piece of me? What was that? A bit of me and you? Fragment pulled in ahead of the group. You, Thorn, Healing, and Probator all have the 2600 on. That little bastard seems to really like keeping souvenirs of its users. I slid to a stop. Something finally clicked. Well, not clicked, but a big question became clear to me. The others also stopped. Healing Herbs looked worried and confused. Fragment had that cocky grin on her face that she had from when I first woke up. Probator's flank hit me in the back of the head, and she made a squeak-like sound. What the hell are you, Fragment? What are you really? She shrugged. I only know as much as you. Well, I did. But I also know, like, a ton more from Miss Healing Herbs. Dying with that pip-buck on imprinted a lot of you on it. And the nightmare. In the end, she's just some old mare that didn't understand anything about what she was using. So, with Healing's death, and some of Probator got imprinted on it too. She stepped towards me, and tapped the 2600 on my leg. It's strange. I felt like I was almost gone. Still there, but nearly gone. Then you put that back on. Suddenly, everything was me again. And more me. A lot more me. So if I had to make an educated guess, it's probably the 2600 itself. How is that possible? Fragment rotated her hoof. Just think about it. If it had fragments of memories and souls in it, how could it not come back to life? How could I not become something more? All I needed was an ego, and being forced out, the Pip-Buck and into you did just that. Okay, so you were the 2600? Now what? Next, I absorb these two and leave this place. I understood they're confused and stunned. Fragment jumped forward and hooked a hoof around the back of my neck. Probator suddenly felt much lighter on my back. Letting me go, she then jumped for healing herbs, looking over to see just in time. Healing herbs cracked and fall to the pieces in Fragment's embrace. Shaking my back, Probator was gone as well. I shook my head to regain my composure. What is the point of this? You said it yourself. We need more power to even reach our goal and get a signal, right? I don't see anything here that'd help us do that. She laughed. That's because you're a simpleton. A fool and not that bright. A horn formed on her head and glowed gray. I just need a battery with enough power to do that, is what I needed to do. A spark of magic shot from her horn and hit me in the chest. I felt all my strength drained from me as I crumbled to the ground. You will do as that battery. All you need to do is stay there and let me do the rest. 2600 came to life with a sound of static. It went on until I heard a beep, which was followed by a few more beeps. Ah, there it is. A bit faint, but I can work with that. A gray glow enveloped Fragment's horn and her Pip-Buck. This is goodbye, Slow Trot. It was fun, but we have to go our separate ways now. Think of it this way. I'm leaving just the same way that I came back into your life. Sudden and unexpected. And with a pop, she was gone. The black fog finally caught up with me, surrounding me, and doing nothing more. From my position, I could see that it didn't get any closer to where the Pip-Buck light touched it. I couldn't muster the strength to move, not for a good long time. All I had the strength to do was cry. The sound from the 2600 slowly widening down, and it went dark. When I could finally move a little, the oversized Pip-Buck just slid off. The Pip-Buck was dead, and with it, my way home. Getting up, the fog that surrounded me closed in, and would move when I did. My only guess was that it was adverse to the light my Pip-Buck lamp. So I slowly trotted off, in hopes of finding something. Anything. As far as I could tell, this was a dead world. Whatever it was dead. I would curse the mass that surrounded me, but every time I would make a run for it, I would see nothing but darkness passing it. There was quite literally nothing here, other than me. This weird mass that surrounded me and the light from my Pip-Buck. The time I spent wandering, I lost count. I rationed the food and drink given to me as my Pip-Buck organized when I should eat and drink to maximize how long it would last. I saved the hard pear cider for when I finally ran out. Strangely enough, after the 4th or 5th time taking a nap, I'd lost count actually. The black fog had left, leaving me with nothing but the bleak landscape. I ran out of food and drink. Opening the first bottle of hard cider, I chugged the contents. It was good. Damn good, too. The other bottle I sipped, holding on to the buzz that the first bottle gave me. Flipping through the radio, I got nothing but nothing. No surprise. Fuck, fuck, fuck! I hated this. I hated all of it. Hate was a strong word to me, and I hated like never before. There was nothing to hate. Hating nothingness was pointless, but I hated it because it was the only thing left to hate. I threw an empty bottle, and the sound of breaking glass didn't even echo. Neither did the second, or the soda bottles I smashed onto my hoof. I gave up. What was the point? My mind finally gave way to the hunger and thirst. I was hearing the sound of music. It was a friendly sound of a guitar playing. The voice was that of a stallion. His voice was clear and quite good. There was a subtle use of drum, I think. It was only used for tapping. The piano joined in to make a fun melody. Last, a bass guitar joined in. At this point, it clicked. It wasn't in my head, it was my pip buck. I didn't have much strength left in me, but I had to check my pip buck. I laughed. It hurt, but I laughed anyway. I had one half of the things I needed to get home, and the other I left far behind me, dead in a dead world. But shit, at least I got some music to die to now. I messed with the pip buck, turning up the volume. I felt like it was funny. The last song I would hear was a love song. Kind of felt like life was mocking me a bit. Turning off the radio, I took off Chekhov's Promise, looked down at the barrel, and shook it at my hooves. It's a good thing I know one way to shoot. Iron buck, enter sats. There was a free aiming mode for firing a gun, so I just turned it to myself and selected entered. I had a 99% chance to hit. Good odds. Bang. Fucking fuck, shit, fuck! It missed. It fucking missed and shot myself in the leg. Picking up the gun, I shoved it back into the bag. I seriously just give up. Iron buck, what's the damn point? I do not understand the question. I plopped down, letting myself bleed out. Iron buck, when I die, will you suddenly become your own pony and go off on your own? Sir, is suffering from blood loss. Please seek medical attention. Iron buck, there is nothing medical around. I'm going to die, and that's it. Activating emergency protocol. Sending Sir to closest settlement. Signal found. Activating one-time use teleportation spell. Wait, what? Hello, Wasteland! That was Wasteland Whalers with their song, Touch Me. This is DJ Pony, and now I bring you that light in the dark, the news. Now I know all you were excited over the upcoming Lightbringer Festival, but serious ponies, don't drink and chariot race. There was a nasty crash between four morons, but the good news is that no pony died, but they will have to miss out on the festival. In other news, raiders have been sighted outside of Old Appaloosa. I know. Didn't the NCR get rid of all the raiders? Well, they did. But this is some new group. They attack at night and hide in the day. Troop has been sent out to deal with them, but any pony out around the Old Appaloosa best bunker down at night, just to be safe. On the topic of Appaloosa, a pony fell from the sky right into New Appaloosa last night, right out of nowhere. Yes, I know a lot of you don't care if another Pegasus falls out of the sky and hurts themselves, which is racist, but the old thing is, it was not a Pegasus. It was a stable-dwelling earth pony, if you would believe it. Clear skies as far as any pony could see, and wouldn't you know it, crashed right onto a building run by the followers of the apocalypse. Some luck. Luck for a pony falling from the sky itself. Now I'd go and get a comment from said pony, but the good doctors say that the pony in question is currently in a coma, and will not be waking up anytime soon. And that's it for the news. And remember, my little ponies, just because the water isn't dirty, does not mean it's clean. Boil all water before use, or risk getting real sick. And now for some music. Do you wish to start a new game? Yes. No.